come down into the dungeon. Woo! This is basically more or less the bulk of my collection. I got records dating back from the early 30s. You know what I'm saying? Got some vintage hip hop. Even got a little Chuck Berry right there. Chucky, baby. Yeah, I got 300,000 or 400,000 altogether I have in the house. Doubles of a lot of things, you know, rare cuts and some garbage. I know so many breaks, man. I mean, I'm a walking encyclopedia when it comes to breaks, you know what I'm saying? Hip-hop, in the hip-hop world, they don't get too much by me, you know, I know it all. I know it all and never sleep. Yeah, classic, Planet Rock.
One particular thing that I remember was going to see Afrika Bambaataa, Planet Rock. And Jazzy Jay was so funky, it was great. Moving from one break to the next, cutting two records together, it was just wonderful. And Bambaataa would be, you know, looking at the crowd, you know, being the sort of inscrutable master of records.
Sam would feed me the records and I'd just go off. Once I get into a zone, it's like you can't even talk to me. I start hopping back and forth.
At one point, took out a 45, slips it over Jazzy Jay's shoulder. And, you know, Jazzy Jay kind of looks up and takes it.
Bam would point to the line, play the second cut. Play the second cut, the break is right there.
Puts on the 45, and this break comes to the end, and then voop, 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 boom, and he lets it go. And I was sitting there, I was like, wait a minute, what? And it was the opening break from the Shirley Ellis record, The Clapping Song, which I think the last time I heard that, I was 9. And I really liked it when I was 9. And all of a sudden, everybody's dancing to this funky break, and I thought, that's freaking amazing. Afrika Bambaataa, master of records.
Amongst all these records of shit that's probably here, you know, like your Lawrence Welk and, I don't know, Earth, Wind & Fire's not really shit, and Rolling Stones, all these records that you're gonna have here, there might be that one diamond in the rough, like, that's really a rockin' beat.
When you find that one that you know you were the only one that found, you just kind of remember, okay, this is what it was all about.
You could be digging for breaks or vocal samples or bass lines or weird children's records or whatever, but it's the whole art of building up an arsenal so when you do go to a party, you're different from the next guy.
My friend T-Ray, he tells me these stories like, yo, Cut, he's from the South. He's from South Carolina. He's like, yo, Cut, you know, I could go into a town and just, I could just smell the records. It's like, I pull in and oh, honey, we gotta stop. There's some records in this town, you know?
You're digging all day when you find that one record, you know, it's at the end of the crate, you're dusty, you stink, you know? And it's a whole culture. I mean, it's that whole, like, you got it on vinyl? You got 2 copies on vinyl? It's like that always thing you're asking. It's like your drug. You got that?
And this happened to me when I went to North Carolina. Okay, just look in the yellow pages under R for records, and we'll find stores. Phone page is ripped out. Somebody got there before us looking for records. I talked to T-Ray, and he was just like, oh, yeah, man. Oh, no, you won't be able to find a phone book with records, you know, listed in there, because I tore them all out already. So I'm like, oh, man. DJ Shadow. He's the king of digging. No one's iller than him. He's got a keen sense. He's got the spidey sense.
He comes here regularly and spends the day usually going through the records downstairs. And he's been coming here for a long time. And he always comes up with a big stack of records like that. We don't let just anybody downstairs, so he does have a special relationship in that sense.
This is just, it's my little nirvana. And being a DJ that I take, you know, the art of digging seriously. And this is just a place I've been going to for 11 years. It's just an incredible archive of music culture. And there's the promise in these stacks of finding something that you're gonna use. And in fact, most of my first album was built off of records pulled from here. So it has almost a karmic element of like, you know, I was meant to find this on top, or I was meant to pull this out because it worked so well with this. So it's got a lot of meaning for me personally. and my buddy Stan that I used to dig with. He was a graffiti writer. We used to come here just looking for things like, you know, Incredible Bongo Band and stuff. Every now and then we'd buy things and Ed or Mark or someone will say, oh yeah, we got a ton of these in the basement, or, you know, oh, you should see the basement if you think this is something. So after like 5 years of hearing this, I just decided to can I just take a look? And we came down here, and I couldn't believe that there was still something like this, a cache this large, and the fact that it's relatively untouched. Just being in here is a humbling experience to me, because you're looking through all these records and it's sort of like a big pile of broken dreams in a way. Almost none of these artists still have a career, really. So you have to kind of respect that in a way. I mean, if you're making records and if you're DJing and putting out, you know, releases, whether it's mixtapes or whatever, you're sort of adding to this pile, whether you want to admit it or not. You know what I mean? 10 years down the line, you'll be in here. So keep that in mind when you start thinking like, oh yeah, I'm invincible and I'm the world's best or whatever, because that's what all these cats thought. Over here is where I was digging, and there was a mummified bat under one of the records. That was nice. Watch your step here. You smell the gas? It smells like gas. I guess that's just the records. I honestly feel like the people that dig don't stop digging because it's a part of who we are. People that don't, you don't have to. It's not going to make a bad DJ good, but it'll make a good DJ better.
We're gonna do a song that you never heard before.
Double D and Steinski put out Lesson 3, and it was like a couple years after it came out. I heard it like in '86. And this was essentially like literally a lesson in all the old breaks being played by themselves from front to back in order, a cohesive way that just, you know, it was groundbreaking.
The torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans.
Lesson 3.
It was a fusing of a lot of funk music and being able to take all these spoken word elements. And it became this increasing series of left turns where all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, right, man, great. This is like, we can put Humphrey Bogart over this, and I have this seance record that we can use.
When I heard that, that was, I mean, over the years, I always kept referencing that track. So when it came time for me to make my first record, I called it Lesson 4. And just so happened that a few hundred miles away, Cut Chemist was doing the same thing, for the same reasons.
Lesson 2.
That was the first time I've ever heard breaks, old records with drum beats on them. I listened to it and I was like, wow, this record was made entirely from records. And I just went bananas. I said, this is it, this is the missing piece, you know, to hip hop for me.
So it's sort of like a once-in-a-lifetime thrill for us, because we flew in Steinski to join us on stage for a Lessons kind of reprise. We're trying to use all the original records.
I'm like a radio DJ, you know, as the first record ends, the next record begins. And these guys, they knew that these were studio creations. And they kind of looked at them as, oh, yes, this should be able to happen live, which is amazing to me because we never even thought about that.
And say, children, what does it all mean?